Hi everybody. Today I want to focus in on completing the Y2100, which is the recognition form for ages 11 to 13. And so if you watched our level 1 report form video, you know that 4-H is about experiential learning. And we really focus on 3 primary steps of that process: do, reflect, and apply. We do an activity, we reflect on what we learned in that activity, and then we apply that to something in the future. In the level 1 form, we really focused on the do and the reflect. Now in this level 2 form, we're going to get more into all 3 steps of the process, and we really want to know how you're going to apply what you've learned to future activities. On the front of this recognition form, there are some important tips for you to note. First of all, right here it says you can report up to 3 years of information on your form. Now we'd really like for you to focus on the last year, but you can pull information from your last 3 years. Secondly, in this bullet point, it also says that the sections on leadership, citizenship, and community service can not only include information from 4-H, but it can also include things that you've done in school, in church, and other community organizations. Remember, this is a 4-H form, and we want you to really focus on the 4-H aspect of things, but you can include those other things as well. So be sure to read through all of these tips on the front. And as with all of our other forms, you're going to start out with your basic information. And again, keep in mind, you want to be neat. You want to use your very best penmanship if you're going to handwrite, or you may type it into the form. And you want to be sure that you get all of the appropriate signatures on this first page. Now again, it may look a little long and that may intimidate you a bit, but it's broken down into sections that I think that you'll find quite manageable. And think about that form again like you're completing a journal for your whole year in 4-H. So this first one looks a lot like the level 1 form. There's a chart for your leadership experiences that you want to fill out completely. And again, don't modify the form. Fill it out as it is and try to fill up all of those boxes. But then after you've done this, which will be what you did or the do, and what you learned, which is the reflect part, then we would like you to apply what you've learned in those leadership experiences. And so down here, you're going to expand on 3 life skill areas. This first one is understanding self. The second one is communicating. And the third one is getting along with others. Now, in the other supporting documents that I put together, the PowerPoint and the examples, you may want to read through those so that you can get some insight onto what types of things the form is asking for you to discuss here. So you want to use 1 page typed or 2 pages handwritten to describe these 3 things. If you're filling it out on the form, there's actually a blank page for you to include that. I would suggest putting the heading in of what you're discussing and then putting your paragraph of what it is that you want to talk about. For example, on the first one, understanding self, we want to know what it is about the 4-H experience that has helped you get to know yourself and your own strengths better. Okay? And then we have the other 2 as well, communication and getting along with others. Section C is about citizenship. And remember, we've talked about things that make us feel patriotic being involved in that. So things like flag ceremonies, voting in your club, any activities that you do in your community that have a patriotic tone. Maybe your group planted a liberty tree, so you could really focus in on the patriotism and the citizenship aspect of that liberty tree. So those are all things that you can put here in the chart. The difference here between the level 1 and the level 2 is that we are asking you to choose one of these activities that you mentioned here and expand on it down here. And so we want you to describe your participation and what you learned about your club, community, country, or world, as well as about yourself by doing that activity. And you'll see this is a common theme, because then when you get to section D, community service, we're going to ask you to do the same thing. We're going to ask you to fill out the chart And then we're going to ask you to expand on one of those community service activities here and tell us what your involvement in that community service activity really means for you. Section E is about your project experiences and your other 4-H participation. And again, there's a chart. But down here, we want you to expand on your most significant 4-H project and why what you learned is important. So here's where we really get into the application part of the experiential learning process. So maybe your project is beef and you show beef cattle and you take care of your animals. How is that important to you? Why did you want to do that project, and how has learning about that project helped you, and how will it continue to help you in the future? Does it have an impact on how you're going to move forward through your education? Are you considering a career in that field? Does it help you in terms of handling responsibility? What are the things that being involved in that project has really meant to you moving forward? And then again here in section E is other 4-H participation. So other things that really aren't related to projects, things like camp, for example. If you're a camp counselor and that's meaningful to you, you're going to want to expand on that down here. So you're going to fill out the chart like you have in the other areas, and then you're going to choose one activity that you mention up here, and you're going to expand on it down here. And again, really thinking about applying what you learned by doing that activity. Finally, we get to your 4-H story. And I said on the level 1 video, this is where you really let your personality shine through, and maybe you talk about things that you haven't talked about in other sections of the form. So you could talk about why you got involved in 4-H, why you continue to be involved in 4-H, and what you want to learn about in the future. Again, you want to talk about how you're going to apply the things that you've learned in 4-H in the future. So whether that's at school, whether that's at home, whether that's in terms of how you deal with other people, those are all the things that we want to know about. Have you learned about a possible career by being involved in 4-H? Those are the things that we'd like to know. And then you have an area where you can add 6 photographs and captions. And really we would look for you to put photos in that can show the whole breadth and scope of your 4-H involvement. So yes, if you have a project-specific photo, that would be great to include. We really recommend that you use action photos that show you doing something, but you can choose photos that have all levels of your 4-H experience and really pick a variety. It's nice to see a variety of things. And so you have 3 pages, 2 photos to a page, and then you're all done. Your form is complete. Now, again, you're going to want to put it in a folder. This is a folder that you can purchase from Shop 4-H that you could put your report form in. Or you could just use a regular portfolio to protect it. Either way is just fine. And then you're going to be able to turn all of that in to your county person. And that will make you eligible for county awards and also some regional awards as well. So I hope you really will take the time to finish your 4-H journal for the year, because it's not just about the awards that makes you eligible for, but it's about being able to look back on your 4-H experience this year and build on it for the future. Good luck.